Hello and welcome back to the simulated 2024 F1 World Championship. This is round number 20 of 24 taking place from Mexico City in, well, Mexico. The second part of this triple header sees us head down south to Mexico, where both the simulated and IRL championships are certainly heating up. Will Mexico produce more twists in both instances? Only time will tell. Here's how the drivers' standings shape up after last time out at Austin. Verstappen's gap to Norris has shrunk down to 23 points, meaning that another race win for Norris and a bad day for Verstappen can see a new championship leader. A rough day for Leclerc sees him lose ground on the top two and into the grasp of Tsunoda, who is now only 4 points behind the Ferrari driver. A close battle for fifth follows, with Hamilton and Sainz separated by a single point. Alonso continues to lurk in P7, and Gasly, Piastri and Russell round off the top 10, the trio also separated by 4 points. The constructor standing sees Ferrari extend their lead over Red Bull ever so slightly, but McLaren have now officially joined the party, being only 3 points behind Red Bull in P3. Mercedes solidify their P4 spot along with RB in P5, Aston Martin in P6 and Sauber in P7. There's still a close battle between Williams and Alpine for 8th, and Haas continue to prop up the table. Compared to the actual standings, Verstappen's gap to Norris actually grows by 5 points thanks to some exploits in Austin, the pair now separated by 57 points. Leclerc now moves to within a race win of Norris in P3 after taking victory at Kota, with Piastri slipping back in 4th. Sainz remains in 5th, gaining some points on the Australian driver, with the two Mercedes drivers of Hamilton and Russell remaining in 6th and 7th after a disappointing showing. Perez and Alonso remain in P8 and P9 respectively, and Hülkenberg solidifies his position in the top 10. As for the constructors, McLaren's lead to Red Bull shrinks by a single point, the two teams now separated by 40 points. Ferrari makes some massive gains in P3 however, with the Scarlet cars now only 8 points behind Red Bull. Mercedes make themselves even more comfortable in P4, as does Aston Martin in P5. There's a change in order below, with Haas claiming P6 away from RB. Williams gain a single point on Alpine in 8th, and Sauber, as usual, have no points and are in last. Now it's time to find out who will be racing as for the Mexico City GP. With one driver remaining on the wheel, it's a bit of a formality at this point, but nonetheless, let's spin the wheel. And obviously, we will be racing as Fernando Alonso in the Aston Martin. This means that all the drivers will be re-added to the wheel for the next race in Brazil. For now though, it's time to step into the shoes of the most experienced driver on the grid as we look to get a good result for Alonso and Aston Martin. It's time for the Mexico City Grand Prix.
This is a special place to go motor racing. We have the Fora Sol. The track is warming up nicely, and it is nearly time to set the grid for tomorrow's Grand Prix. What an atmosphere we have in Mexico City.
So here we are then in the Aston Martin garage as Fernando Alonso, the last person left on the wheel. Took a while for us to get to him, but we got there eventually. As we're here, Q1 now having a little bit of a drift there coming out the final corner. A little unstable there going for the final corner. Probably cost us some time, it did, but it didn't cost us enough time to be knocked out. We are through to Q2 in P10. And we've lost from Q1. Carlos Sainz and the Ferrari being the big shock there, along with Yuki Tsunoda, currently P4 in the championship. Remember, he was leading the championship for a good amount of time, Tsunoda. They're both out of Q1, along with Alexander Albon, Zhou Guanyu, and then Logan Sargent, both Williams out in Q1, along with Zhou in the Sauber. As we move on to Q2 now, definitely a lot more stable coming out the final corner there. Definitely didn't cost us some time as we crossed the line. We're P1 in Q2, very good stuff there, so we easily make it through to Q3. And we've lost from Q2, Nico Hülkenberg, Esteban Ocon, Charles Leclerc and the Ferrari out in Q2. Neither Ferrari making it through to Q3. Definitely a shocker there, considering they're currently top of constructors. And we also lost Stroll and Valtteri Bottas as well. So both Ferraris, remember, Constructors Championship leaders currently in our simulated season, both out in Q1 and Q2. Neither of them making the Q3. Very surprising there. Also the fact that both Red Bulls also made it to Q3 as well. So could be an interesting swing in the Constructors Championship fight. Nonetheless, we're on to Q3 now, beginning our lap, heading into Turn 1, a very long run down into Turn 1, obviously. Heading through the first few couple of corners, it's very tricky, that first set of corners there, as you saw. Moving down onto the end of Sector 1, going to Sector 2, another chicane here left to right with 3 attempts up on P6, but we did set the fastest Sector 1 with the purple on the map there being indicative of that. A little bit of a snap coming out of the double right-hander there, but hopefully not too much damage done as we now move to these fast, like, flowing set of corners here. You can near on go flat out through all these as just ignore the line I just took there as we move at the end of Sector 2. We set a purple Sector 2 as well, so it's looking pretty good for pole position here. As you can see, Hamilton is 6th, Magnussen is 7th. I would assume Max Verstappen's probably in P1 right now. He usually is. Can we take P1 away from him? Let's find out as we go through the last corner again to the line, hugging the inside, crossing the line.
Okay, good job, mate. Really, really well done. That was a fantastic drive. Bring it home.
And indeed, we get P1. We are on pole position for the Mexico Grand Prix, but it wasn't that easy as we were only a 10th from Max Verstappen, who starts P2, Lando Norris in P3, Oscar Piastri in P4, McLaren locking out the second row there. Probably a good spot for them to be in considering the long run down to turn 1. George Russell in P5, Perez in his home race is 6th, Lewis Hamilton in 7th, Kevin Magnussen 8th, Gasly is 9th, and Daniel Ricciardo is the last of the top 10 in, well, P10 in the RB. And qualifying is done, the grid is set, it's now time for the Mexico City Grand Prix.
Welcome to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, named after the brothers whose idea for a race in Mexico was so compelling that it got presidential approval. We're glad it did. Welcome to the Mexico City Grand Prix. With 2,285 metres above sea level, that is one of the key details of this circuit. It tests the driver's fitness and their engine's efficiency. The other one is the atmosphere. An incredible crowd, a raucous crowd, and there's 30,000 of them waiting for the drivers at the end of this 2.6-mile lap in the Foro Sol. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Fernando Alonso lines up on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Oscar Piastri, Russell, Perez, Hamilton, Magnussen, Gasly, Ricciardo, Hülkenberg, Ocon, Leclerc, Stroll, Bottas, Sainz, Tsunoda, Albon, Joe, and Logan Sargent. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. Welcome to the commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes. Alongside me, a real authority on all things motor racing. It's a warm welcome back to Anthony Davidson. Now, those final hours before a race, did you have a routine?
Well, for them, you've got your pre-race rituals that you go through. You see different drivers that, some have got their headphones on, they're listening to the music. Some drivers really absorb the energy from the crowd and they're there waving to them. Other drivers, they go within themselves. They chat to their engineers, absorbing that information, that vital information that you need to carry you through the race. And, those pre-race rituals are essential to making things systematic. We do a lot of Grand Prix in a season, and the more systematic you can be, the easier you are within that environment.
I swear I've heard those voice lines so many times now, I'm going to hear them in my dreams. But nonetheless, here we are on the Mexico City Grand Prix grid, lining up as Fernando Alonso in P1. We were only a 10th and a half ahead of Verstappen, so I'm not too confident about our race pace, but it does look like we are doing a two-stop at least going into this race. I look at adjusting my strategy a little bit, but I decide against it. I keep it as the default. And yeah, we're starting on the mediums. I believe everyone else is starting on the mediums. Maybe some people starting on the hards. No, everyone's starting on the medium tyres for this race. So either everyone's going on the same strategy, or there could be some surprises down the grid. Who knows? We are going to try the two-stop. We'll see whether everyone else is going to do two-stop as well. But everyone's starting on new mediums. Very interesting stuff. Anyway, heading through the formation lap onto the grid again. And yeah, not really much else to say. We got the two championship protagonists in the simulated season and in real life right behind us. Although I think Leclerc's basically joining in the party on both of those. Leclerc does need a good result, but he is starting down in P13, so he could lose even more ground here unless he manages to make his way up through the field. As we're here now, sat on the grid, waiting for everyone else to get lined up. As they do so, at the back, Logan Sargent in his Williams there at the back. Not Colapinto, they still haven't updated it, but that's okay. As we move on to 5 red lights. And the lights go out very quickly, but it's lights out and away we go. We make a decent start, but the McLaren's looking to make a good start as well. Piastri already ahead of Verstappen and Norris as well. Both McLaren's jumping Verstappen at the start. And Norris is looking to make a move for the lead as he goes down to the outside. And even Piastri going on the inside here. It's 3 wide going into turn 1. It's a bit of a squeeze from the McLaren drivers, but I just make it through without contact. And Alonso keeps the lead, Norris in second, Piastri in third, and Perez is now challenging his teammate for P4, going down the second straight here as Norris looks to go make another move around the outside, going to turn 4 I believe, but we just hold him off there as well, keep him at bay. Alonso still leads the Grand Prix, and Verstappen and Perez still side by side, going through the double right-hander, Verstappen on the inside there, just keeping his teammate at bay, as they still go through side by side actually. Perez having the inside line going into left-hander, and Verstappen has better traction coming out left-hander and just keeps the position away from his teammate, which is probably going to be a bit of a disappointment for the home crowd, but there's still plenty of opportunities for Perez to get ahead and in front. Nonetheless though, Alonso still leads the Grand Prix at the end of lap 1, holding back the 2 McLarens who definitely had a very good start here and definitely needed a good start to make their presence known. As we move on to lap 5 now, Norris still very much right behind us, gaining the DRS. He's only 2 tenths behind us, and with the DRS he blasts by us going down the straight. Norris takes the lead of the Mexico City Grand Prix. I've tried to pull him behind on the slipstream, but the slipstream doesn't do much when he has the DRS. So Norris now retaking, well, I say retaking, he takes the lead of the Mexico City Grand Prix. We move back down to second, and Piastri now right behind us as well. As we move on to the next lap though, lap 6, it's now us who gets the DRS, and as you can see on the bottom right, our rear left is overheating slightly, but hopefully that works out as we now move to look to make a move on the inside, or rather the outside, I don't know what I'm talking about, of Lando there, and we retake the lead of the Mexico City Grand Prix. Very good stuff there. And now we move on to lap 8. This seems like a very much deja vu from the US Grand Prix. It's just me and Norris battling out for the lead here. And as you can see, Norris on lap 8 retakes the lead away from us again. So, yeah, pretty much deja vu from the last race. It's me against Norris for the lead, but we also have Piastri behind us as well. And Verstappen just outside DRS range of Piastri, but if we keep on squabbling, I'm sure Verstappen could also be part of this squabble for the lead as well, along with Perez for that matter, who's also still, well, actually just outside DRS, I should say. As we move on lap 10, now it's now Piastri looking to make a move for us. He tried to go down the inside of the second place. We just hold him off around the outside, and we gain the inside of turn 2. Which means Piastri now is still in P3 and now has Verstappen to deal with as he was out of shape coming out the corner. Verstappen looking to make a move now for P3. Piastri covering the inside, going into the left-hander. Will he be able to keep the position? Is looking pretty dicey. Goes around the outside of Verstappen there through the corner, but gains better traction, and Verstappen has to stay behind for another few corners at least. But he does look to make a move on lap 11 now, going around the outside of Piastri at turn 1, and looks like he makes the move stick, but Piastri still looking to go side by side, but Verstappen actually makes the move stick and is now at to P3. Piastri now kind of tumbling down the order as Perez now looks to make a move on him, going into turn 4, and he goes around the outside, has the inside line going into the next corner, but as we saw in the previous lap, Verstappen was able to, well, Piastri was able to keep position that time, and he does keep position ahead of Perez on lap 11. As we move now back to the end of lap 11 on lap 12, we are right behind Lando Norris again actually. We've made up some distance on him. He did keep the lead for quite a while, but now we have a run at him going down the main straight once again, getting the slipstream, getting the DRS. We pull to the outside, trying to make a move around the outside of Lando Norris to retake the lead of the Mexico Grand Prix. We get a little bit squirrely, but no contact made. Take the inside of turn 2, and we retake the lead of the race going into turn 3. Fernando Alonso now back in the lead in the Mexico City Grand Prix, but Lando Norris still right behind us, and as you can see on the next lap, he blasts by us once again, retaking the lead of this race. It's a very, very close squabble between ourselves and Lando Norris, and this could last for the entire race, really, or at least until the pit stops, because we could have different pit strategies, but nonetheless, Norris retakes the lead, and on lap 16, we decide to make a move, and Norris actually makes a mistake and locks up going into turn 1, which gives us the perfect opportunity to go around the outside of turn 2, inside of turn 3, and retake the lead of the race once again. And it also brings Verstappen into play, as he's now within DRS range of Lando Norris in P2, so this is down once again a three-way fight for the lead. But now Verstappen is here instead of Piastri. Piastri kind of falling down the order. He's not having a good time. As Norris locks up yet again going into turn 1, but is able to hold on to the position. And we got Max Verstappen behind as well, who's going to have DRS going down the second DRS zone. Heading down into the end of sector 1 into turn 4 and 5. But he doesn't make the move this time. But on lap 18, he's right behind us now as he pulls alongside both of us with DRS, blasting down the main straight. But Verstappen has more straight line speed, maybe. We're still side by side going down into turn 1. And on the outside, Verstappen on the inside. But we do like our outside line and we hold on to P2 for now. But Verstappen very much punchy as we are now out of DRS range of Norris, in fact, which is definitely not going to be good for us as we go on to the next lap now, lap 20. We're still out of DRS range, which means we don't get DRS, but Verstappen will, going down the main straight as we look to go onto the hards actually, trying to change our strategy to a one-stop for the remainder of this race. But Verstappen going around the outside of us there and into P2, so from the lead we're now down to P3. Not too surprising, we don't have too much pace here in Mexico City, but hopefully we can use some strategy to our advantage and pull off some surprises. As a little bit further down we see a battle for P4 between Russell and Gasly. Russell going around the outside there of Gasly in turn 1, but Gasly keeping his nose in it as they both go down the main straight. But Russell making the move stick is up to P4 now, and Piastri now looking to make a move on Gasly for P5. Remember, Piastri was running in third for a lot of the race, but now is kind of slipping down the order. But he's trying to come back now, going down the inside of Gasly, through that right-hander, trying to keep on the inside of Gasly, going for the double right-hander. Gasly probably had more traction if he's on the outside, but Piastri trying to keep his nose in it, but unfortunately cannot make the move stick, and Gasly only loses 1 place rather than 2. As we now move on to lap 23, our pit window is open, so we're going to come in along with Verstappen now coming in as well. Making our first pit stop of the day. For us, it's probably going to be our only pit stop of the day. Verstappen just coming in ahead of us there. It's a battle of the pit crews, really, to see who will end up in front. Aston Martin boys get to work. It's a 2.3 second time. Verstappen just comes out in front of us, but it's fine. Verstappen on mediums again, so he's definitely committing to the 2-stop while we're committing to the 1-stop. And as you can see on the minimap on the left, there's a yellow flag at turn 1. Heading out the pit lane now. And a red flag! Another red flag, the second red flag as many races. And I would imagine that the yellow flag at turn 1 is what caused it. And what caused it was Lando Norris, our race leader, going into turn 1. Makes a mistake, spins out at turn 1. Which causes a bit of a traffic jam, I believe. But our traffic jam isn't coming for a while, as actually Russell and Perez get pie along with Ricciardo. But Magnussen, I don't know why, doesn't go around either. And as you can see, there's now a bit of a traffic jam as Norris tries to correct himself. But that traffic jam definitely causes the red flag. As we look at our strategy, I decide to stay on my hards this time rather than go on to softs. Which was our mistake last time. Hopefully we don't make another mistake. But we have been costed by the red flag. As it's lights out, away we go again. We start from P12. Thanks to our pit stop, along with Verstappen down the order as well. Norris getting a bit of a reprieve. Starting in P3 and makes a very good start as he heads past Magnussen into P2 now. But as you'll see in a moment, this restart is a bit of a mess. As we try to stay on the try to stay in the middle here. And we end up just getting ping-ponged by everybody going into the wall for some reason. So I actually decide for once to use a flashback. I know, it's heresy to use a flashback, but I'm going to do it this time because we want to keep the race interesting. But even after this flashback, it's still a mess going for the first couple of corners. And you see on the bottom right, our car takes quite some significant damage. As we move down to P14, Hamilton and Gasly getting past us for a few positions there. But I do go down the inside of Gasly going into turn 4 to try and retake the position. Back up to P13 we go. Hamilton is now in front of us. He's our next target. And hopefully we can make up a few more positions after this restart as we keep on trucking along. Piastri also down into P14, by the way. He also pitted just before the red flags came out. So everyone who pitted before the red flags came out has really been screwed by that red flag. But hopefully, with us going to the end of this race on the hard tyres, we'll definitely hopefully get some opportunities come up later up in the race, because I believe people in front of us need to pit in again. As we go down the inside of Hamilton in the stadium section here and make the move stick, we're now up to P12, which is I believe where we started the restart. So at the end of the first lap from the restart, it actually turns out that we go back to our starting position as we see Magnussen's engine blow up on the main straight. Oh no, Magnussen was doing so well in the Haas, but his engine has let go. He pulls over the side of the road, and Magnussen is the first retirement of the Mexico City Grand Prix. Very unfortunate there for him and for Haas, who are currently last in the Constructors' Championship and definitely needed those points. As we move on to lap 28, just after Magnussen's retirement, we dive down the inside of Valtteri Bottas without them expecting it, just making the move stick, and we move back into the points-paying positions now. In P10, we got Logan Sargent in front of us, who was definitely a beneficiary of the red flag. As we see George Russell setting the fastest lap of the race. George Russell just behind Lando there, as you can see on the mini-map. Those two battling it out for the lead of this race. But another person who's probably going to be battling for the lead of this race is Verstappen later on, as Bottas blasts by us going down the main straight. Bottas, even with us having DRS2, Bottas has a lot of straight line speed, way more straight line speed compared to us, which left us a bit of a sitting duck for the Sauber there, which is the first time that's been said all season, simulated or IRL. As we now lose our 10th position to Bottas. Hopefully we can regain it. We do make a bit of a lunge going down the end of the second DRS straight. Bottas just gave us enough room. We're up to P10 once again. Sargent just in front of us, and Hamilton also getting past Bottas as well. As we are still in lap 30 here, going down the inside of Logan Sargent at the end of the third DRS zone. We make the move stick. We're now up to P9. Charles Leclerc is the next one up the road, about 2 seconds ahead of us. Hopefully we can catch up within a few laps. But if you saw what happened with me and Bottas just now, I can imagine that the same thing's about to happen with me and Sargent, because I don't have DRS, but Sargent will have DRS going down the main straight, which means he'll probably blast by us, and sure enough he does on the outside there. Sargent gets back past us, and we now move down to P10, and Hamilton looking to go down the inside of turn 1 as well, but we just cover him off. As we look at Verstappen now, who's definitely charging through the field. And speaking of charging, he blasts by Carlos Sainz of the Ferrari, moving back up to P4. So the restart definitely not holding him up, as he looks to try and regain some positions and hopefully take the lead and win this Mexico City Grand Prix and gain some points on Norris in P2 in the championship. As we'll see now, Hamilton blasting by us for P10 here, but I died to the inside, looking to make a move on the pair of Hamilton and Sargent, and I make the move stick. There may have been contact, but I don't think any damage was done to any of us, as we now move up to P9, and with them being so out of shape, we actually get clear of the DRS zone for the next lap. As Sargent now pulls to the side of the road, looks like his engine is gone as well, in a similar way to Magnussen actually. Same spot as well, Sargent going very slowly down the main straight. It looks like Sargent's going to be the second retirement of this Mexico City Grand Prix. Very unfortunate for him. He was running in the points for quite a while there after the restart, but his race ends on lap 33. Very unfortunate for him there. As we move up to lap 42 now, we actually caught up to Leclerc and Sainz now, who's actually moved down to P7. We've got both the Ferraris in front of us. I make a little bit of a very audacious move, going down the inside there of Sainz and Leclerc. But Sainz still trying to keep on the inside. We've got past Leclerc, going around the outside of Carlos Sainz. Sainz keeps the position for now. As you saw, there was a yellow flag. And as you can see on the top, Pierre Gasly's out of the session. And a VSC comes out as we just pass Sainz before the VSC comes out, which means we're now up to P7. But the VSC is out because of Pierre Gasly, who seems to be the third retirement of this race. We're going to see what happened to him here, going down the straight, and it seems like he, as the other two as well, has engine failure. His Renault engine in the Alpine letting go. And Gasly is the third retirement of this race. It's pretty unusual for us to have 3 retirements in a single race due to engine failures, but here we are. So Gasly, third retirement, and at lap 43 the VSC is ending as we stick right behind Zhou, who's in P6, and Ricciardo in P5. Zhou with the hard tyres, Ricciardo with the mediums. So it looks like Zhou's trying to go to the end of the race as well. Ricciardo will need to pit in again because he needs to use another compound of tyres. As you can see, Zhou actually got past Ricciardo, and now we're going to make a move on Ricciardo, going down the end of the second DRS straight, diving down the inside. Very much a Ricciardo-esque move, a prime Ricciardo-esque move. And we move up to P6 now. Next target is Zhou Guanyu in the Kick Sauber in P5. We make a good run coming out of the fast-flowing section in Sector 2. Trying to make a move down the inside of Zhou into the end of the DRS. So we kind of bang wheels. Zhou getting pretty aggressive there. Going into that corner. But nonetheless, we make the move stick. We're now at the P5. Next target is Perez in P4, who basically has the net lead of the race, because the top 3 are coming in for their second and final pit stop of the day. Norris in the lead, Russell in P2, Verstappen in P3, all making their pit stops. But Verstappen gets a faster pit stop and actually jumps Russell in the pit lane, which means Verstappen now is ahead of Russell in this trio of cars. Norris still holding the lead of this trio, but Verstappen jumping Russell in the pit stop, so that's going to be very interesting now going into the last section of this race. And remember, these cars are going to have much fresher tyres compared to everyone around them, so expect them to charge up the field. In the last few laps of this race, they come out just behind Stroll, so Norris in P9, Verstappen in P10 and Russell in P11, but I don't expect that to stick. As we move now back to the front of the field, it's us and Perez. Perez leading his home race. Unfortunately for the fans though, it's not going to be for much longer as we open up our DRS, use our battery, move to the outside, going into turn 1, and we take the lead of the Mexico City Grand Prix. Again, very disappointed there for home fans who probably really wanted a Perez victory, but there's still time for Perez to come back. There's still plenty of laps. As we move now to lap 60, Norris making some moves. He tries to go around the outside of Leclerc into turn 1, having the inside in turn 2, and makes the move stick. Actually, no, he doesn't. Leclerc trying to keep on the inside there, but has to concede position. Norris now to P5 as we move on now to lap 65. And he tries to go around the outside of Zhou, but also goes around the outside of Sainz going into turn 1. Norris making a double move there through the first sequence of corners. So now Norris at the P3, which means he now only has Perez and Alonso just in front of him. Norris could still take the win of this race, potentially.
Okay, some information on Norris. They've got some kind of mechanical problem.
Or not, as it seems like Norris now has a mechanical issue, which means his charge towards the front of the field is going to be halted. And now he's definitely going to have to look over his shoulder as Verstappen, who has cleared Sainz and Zhou as well, looks to make a move on Norris on lap 69. Going around the outside into the stadium section, Verstappen takes P3 away from Norris, which means at the moment Verstappen will increase his lead in the championship over Lando. Going into the final 4 races of the season. But Verstappen makes a mistake going at the end of the second DRS zone, and Norris retakes the position. Seemingly his mechanical issues have been solved. But Norris now back into P3. Verstappen trying to get back at him on the final lap of the race. Can't do it through the first DRS zone, but there's a second DRS zone. He lines himself up trying to get the move done. He opens the DRS, goes down the second straight, but he can't catch up. Tries to go around the outside. Norris covers him off, shuts the door. Very good stuff there from Lando. Good defending. And Lando just holds on to P3 from Max Verstappen, which means the gap will shrink after this race instead of grow. Very unlikely situation there. At the front, no, Perez maintaining a gap about 1.5 seconds, but couldn't get any closer to us as we move through the stadium section for the final time. It's going to be Fernando Alonso taking victory number 33. Well, he's had many victories before in this simulated season, but he wins the Mexico City Grand Prix.
What a drive! What a performance! Fernando Alonso takes victory!
They led from lights out to the flag at the end, and their race victory was never in doubt, was it? Brilliant stuff by them.
can see them on their way out to the podium now. Aston Martin really are making waves in this sport. And what a special race this was to see them earn the top spot.
So there we go. Fernando Alonso takes the victory at the Mexico City Grand Prix. I don't know what they were talking about for me leading lights to flag. But our strategy worked this time. After a red flag, we went onto the hard tyres, went to the end of the race, and it paid off for us. It paid off for Perez as well in P2 there. I can imagine the fans wanting him to be P1, but I'm sure they'll take a P2 for the Mexican driver. And Lando Norris completing the podium after having some mechanical issues. I'm guessing the McLaren pit will manage to solve them, and he ends up gaining some points over Verstappen in the championship, although not by much. Classified standings after 71 laps in the Mexico City Grand Prix, it is Fernando Alonso who takes victory, Sergio Perez in P2, Lando Norris in P3, Max Verstappen in P4, but Verstappen does take the fastest lap, which means the gap between Norris and Verstappen is only 2 points, Norris gaining only 2 points on the championship leader. George Russell in P5, Daniel Ricciardo in P6, a good result for him. Carlos Sainz in P7, actually, a very good recovery drive from him to get up to P7. Hamilton in 8th, Piastri in 9th, a bit of a disappointing day for him. And Zhou Guanyu is the last of the points-paying positions in 10th. As for the rest of the classified finishes, we've got Charles Leclerc in 11th, Alexander Albon in 12th, Bottas is in 13th, Ocon in 14th, Yuki Tsunoda in 15th, Nico Hulkenberg in 16th, and Lance Stroll is the last of the classified finishes in P17. And we had 3 retirements, which were Pierre Gasly, Logan Sargent, and Kevin Magnussen. And there we go. That is the Mexico City Grand Prix done, the second of the triple header. Next race is in a week's time, the last of the triple header. It's another sprint weekend. It's the Sao Paulo Grand Prix in Interlagos, which is one of my favourite tracks on the calendar. Should be very fun. Another sprint weekend once again, but it is a fun track to drive around, so I'm not too worried about that. That will be the 1st of November, I believe. Yep, 1st of November. That video will go out, so look forward to that. Sao Paulo Grand Prix in a week's time. Should be fun. All the drivers back on the wheels, so who knows who we're going to drive as for that race. As for the standings, we have Max Verstappen still in the lead of the championship, but now only 21 points ahead of Lando Norris in P2. That championship fight is definitely hotting up, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how much changes going into the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc maintains 3rd with Yuki Tsunoda in P4. Those two not scoring any points today, a bit disappointing for the pair of them. Carlos Sainz closes in on, Carlos Sainz actually jumps Hamilton, going up to P5 now. Carlos Sainz a point ahead of the person who's replacing him at Ferrari next year. And Fernando Alonso actually only a point behind Hamilton as well. The fight for P5, in fact, the fight for P3, very much hotting up. Those 5 drivers, Leclerc, Tsunoda, Sainz, Hamilton, Alonso, all separate by just 15 points. So that could change a lot going into the final 4 races. George Russell moves himself up to P8, leapfrogging Gasly and Piastri, who are 9th and 10th. As for the Constructors, Red Bull retake the lead of the Constructors' Championship, now only 7 points ahead of Ferrari, and McLaren a further 10 points behind. The top 3 separated by 17 points. That's going to be a very interesting fight in the last 4 rounds. Who will come out on top? Who knows at this point. Mercedes in P4, 50 points behind McLaren. A good result for them. Could see them join this championship fight, but it's looking more unlikely with every passing race. RB maintaining P5. Aston Martin closing in on them though in P6, 19 points behind RB. Sauber trying to be comfortable in P7. Williams in P8. Alpine in 9th. And Haas still round up the top. Well, I say round up the top 10. There are only 10 teams. Haas are still propping up the table. There we go. And that is that. Mexico City Grand Prix done, a very exciting race. A lot of twists and turns there. A red flag. Many changes for the lead. And in the end, it's Alonso who takes the victory despite everything. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this race. If you did, make sure to like, comment, subscribe as well. We still got 4 more of these videos this season. Anything can happen in the 2 championships. So make sure to tune in for the rest of the season, because who knows who's going to win these championships by the end of Abu Dhabi. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Have a great rest of your day, evening, week, whatever. And hopefully I'll see you all for the next one.